brave units, brave attacks, and lethality spamming? This is the Meta Report, and we're going to talk about all the things going on in Fire Emblem Heroes right now. So first up, we have Light and Dark Season, and boy, I cannot believe how Null Counter Disrupt has just absolutely changed things and really demolished my poor Elise. I love this unit, but summoners, there are so many forms of Null Counter Disrupt coming out right now, and Legendary Seliph and Alir, and of course Guinevere had it and can give it out to folks. It is changing the way cav lines work, and we're going to talk more about them, but Elise is a key factor for how they work. If you remember the original versions of those with Nana and Flash Staff, that was, once that started to go away, then actually the cav lines themselves started to fade. So I would expect to see that in the coming months. Also, dang, Alir's a good unit. Next up, we need to talk about Robin. And listen, this is Penrost's defense, and they are absolutely incredible at crafting these things. So understand that, and you should definitely go check out their channel. I'll have it in the description. Another thing you're gonna have to note is that this is not my first time going against this defense. I had to go a couple times, and you're gonna see me have to very carefully navigate Robin because he hits like a truck and warps all over the map and is crazy. So you're probably wondering why I have him ticking up just a little bit instead of a lot. And that's because a lot of times I would rather have someone else in his place. That is a very coveted spot right there, the support. And most of the time I want ranged units there to increase my threat range. That is less of a case on offense, but even on offense, most of the time I would rather have someone else. You're going to see down the road there's an exception with some hit and run strategies, but particularly with tanking and definitely on defense, I like the unit. I like where they go. Most of the time I'm picking someone else. But I wanted to make sure that you guys saw that this is a unit that can be used very, very well. It took me 3-4 tries to actually get this right. Moving on to Soren, a fan favorite, and a lot of folks love this unit, say this is the best CYL unit, and this will really make them happy. This is what I'm talking about with threat range. Like I would rather have a unit that can get further out and increase that. And look at this Soren just absolutely demolish this Alir. Like, this is nuts. That is really good. As a nuke, I love Soren, and I think he is excellent, and you can find a spot for him on your defense. As a savior, I don't really like decoy all that much because it takes too many units. I don't like to have to worry about setting up a unit that is both a savior and the unit that sets up the savior. Now, it helps that this is a most of the time brave attacking nuke, so understand that this is why value is definitely going up, but I still am not just a huge fan, and I don't think the value is just going through the roof on this unit. Still very good though. Moving on, we have got, okay, there are different aspects to Corrin. I've talked about this before, but I think Corrin is the most versatile unit of this brave batch. I am not a huge fan of her on defense. Now, you're going to see this, and the comment should be, that's great, but every savior dies there. The thing with Corrin is what really makes her special is that Divine Vein Stone. And the fact that I can get in there and smack her before it is even activated is really something that takes away from her uniqueness and means most of the time you'd want another unit there. I'm going to show a ton of offense. I love her there, and I actually love her a lot on Summoner Duels as well. But she has the same problem in Summoner Duels where she really has to be able to hit end turn to get the thing that is special going for her. So understand that is a little bit down, but I'm talking about defense there. And if you have the unit, that's fantastic, but know that speedy units on defense can be difficult because the offense always has advantage on speed. Last, I mean, you knew I had to talk about this unit. I tried to pick the best replay. If you'll notice, I use this unit a lot in this last light season. So I picked one of these with just absolutely bonkers speedy units here to show you what was going to happen. And Summoners, I am absolutely amazed by what this unit can do. And I think Omni tanks in general all pale in comparison to this unit. Oblivion in his recent video had this as the #1 Omni tank, and the further I go, the more I agree. You have great support in that you can give someone else piercing so that you can have a good turn 2, because a lot of these units now are setting up to where they survive in some way. So you're not going to be able to take out an entire team at once. It really is nice to have other units on your team that can do some damage. In this case, I had Yuri, which was fantastic. I didn't need Yuri because Alir just cleaned up. But in a lot of the better defenses, that is going to be a problem. I am a huge fan, and I think there are uses in tons of different areas for Alir. All right, with that, we need to move on to Astra Anima. We are getting a new batch of insane nukes right now. I mean, Claude with lethality spam, Lysithea with crazy speed. We got Shamir, who is also a support unit and fantastic. The list goes on. Like, I don't know that we're finished getting this next upgrade of nukes, and that means the Omni tanks are going down in value. Now you're gonna see here, this is Fjorm who gets smacked by Fomortis. But the fact that Fjorm wasn't able to position herself in a place that was able to take things out beforehand was really what caused the Fomortis kill. I mean, what can I say? Like, this is a shift that we're seeing. We saw Godsword after Godsword, and they were just dominant, and now IS is saying, just kidding. Next up, now we talked about Corrin on defense, and this is Corrin on offense, and I think Corrin on offense is bonkers good. Absolutely love her. This is her against Happy, and Happy should be able to take this Corrin out easily. And I mean, this is practically a ting. Like, this is kind of nuts how crazy, like, Air has to go first because Air does more damage at 11. This is not bonus season. I'm not doing any of these replays on bonus season, so please know that. This is just stock Corrin at +1. That is nuts, and we're still waiting for Happy to go. There we go. Supposed to be 30 damage and ends up at 0. I don't know what to say. What can you say about that? Like, that is ridiculous. This unit works best as an Omni tank. Know that. Just the way the meta is working right now. Saviors take too much support units away from you. Like, that's the big deal. You want an Omni tank that you can sit out there, and then you can sit a ton of supports around them. Now, the fact that this is a Far Savior means sometimes you can have more support units next to her, but just know that I would rather have more support units, because they are so powerful right now, than have an additional near save or even have this unit in the back line. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. The save balls themselves are kind of going by the wayside, and they'll be back. Don't worry, we'll get stronger armors, and I mean, they'll definitely want to sell us that. Oh, Fomortis. I love my Fomortis, and okay, the reason I have this unit starting to go down is Flared Sparrow. The margin that this unit had was very narrow. I mean, that's all there is to it, and you're getting some things that are able to counter him easily. Now, understand that in order to do that, I needed Flared Sparrow and I needed Alir support. But still, it is becoming easier and easier to take him out as a far save. I still think he's a good near save, and I think you'll be able to use him in that regards for a bit longer. But know that since it's harder to get additional skills on him because he has preference skills, that it's going to be harder to keep up with Fomortis, and we're starting to see the beginning of the end there. I know, it's very sad. I meant to talk about Gulveg on here, because Gulveg is the one who's doing amazing. Gulveg is a really good unit. The thing that happened, Gulveg came out, we were all like, this is a good Gale Force unit. She gets an extra action. This is fantastic. And then Alir came out to support her, and bonkers things happen. I mean, just seriously, cannot believe how good those units pair together as a hit and run combo. I have used them extensively. I'm here to tell you they're a blast. Go forth, have fun with that pairing. The last thing I want to talk about is Gatekeeper. The reason I have this unit so high is because so much of the meta revolves around warping and Catria balls. If you can keep that from happening, most of the time, all you have to survive, like in this case, you're really having to survive one unit that has a brave hit as opposed to many. But it breaks a whole lot of Catria balls and a whole lot of things that people are doing. So understand that I would have this unit on a team. There are teams that he just absolutely wallops. The healing, though, is another thing that is so big for end turners. And the fact that he can give that from across the map is amazing, along with an Omni +5. This unit is one of the best supports in the game. Obviously Robin is still better, but I have got him way up there on Aether Raid's offense. I think he is absolutely fantastic. But let's get into Chaos Season. So I've talked about it before. Chaos Season is so hard to make these for because it really, there's so many things you can do that it's hard to plan for any one thing. It's really difficult. One thing I can definitely tell you is that Medius is gaining value because Bolt Tower is here and really is fantastic against Chaos teams. It has always been the great equalizer, but I mean, especially here, like... Anyway, having Medius on your team keeps that strategy from happening. And I mean, to boot, you're seeing Medius just absolutely smash Camilla because he has more res than her. Fantastic. Anyway, I think the unit is amazing and excellent, and you have to work him in. He's also very tanky, so he can work as a melee frontliner most of the time. Not to mention he has Canto control built in. He's a great chaos defense unit. Just, that's it. I've got Soren up here. I want to make sure, like, when I base these, this is basically, I'm going off of the kind of the community's basis on what they think the brave units are going to be and then going from there. And I just was very, very disappointed in the whole dual save thing in general. This is what I'm talking about. Like, instead of Freyr, I could have another support unit. I could have Robin, and I would like that better. In fact, I would get two, right? I would. That's another near saver, but I would get both Robin and say Elamine on there in the place of Soren and Freyr. That's a lot of space you're taking up. That's a lot of team real estate. There are exceptions to that. I mean, I've seen some really fun things done with Ymir as a far save, but we kind of ignore how many special skills and how many special things that armors need to be saviors. And I just know that, like, you can do it, it's just difficult, and I definitely wouldn't suggest it in Aether Raids in general. Like, I'm just not a fan. There are folks that are getting it to work, but I think it is easier to do it another way. All right, so moving on last, and I mean, is this any surprise? Like, I mean, I probably could have had Corin just shooting through the roof, but why? We have so many Omni tank options. She's a very good one. I just really trotted her out and had her destroy everything in Chaos Season, and it was easy going. You're gonna see her here just absolutely smash this defense. I chickened out. I wanted to set her up against Nana and have Nana see if she could actually take on Corin, but total chicken move, and I didn't do it, and ended up taking her out with Eater because I needed a bonus kill anyway. But so all that to say, Corin is going to be a unit that you're going to absolutely love in Chaos Season and go forth and conquer. All right, last thing up, just to talk about archetypes in general in Aether Raids. This isn't the best example, and I apologize for that. What I really wanted to show is how hard it is right now to take out some of these near saves. And Edelgard is hitting 4 times and just not cutting it here. Now, this is more of a hit and run team, but it brings home the point that it is just hard to do melee Gale Force right now. The newer units aren't really designed for it, with probably the exception of Ephraim. Summer Ephraim is very good at it, but that might change as we see more of Aleer used in these situations. The problem with Aleer in a Gale Force team is, to really do a Gale Force team, every unit has to function with multiple actions. They really do. Like, you don't have a whole lot of give on that because you have Mythics, and Mythics oftentimes aren't going to be the best Gale Force units, and you just got to do what you can. So your other non-Mythic units just have to be good at that, and Aleer doesn't have any kind of Dragon Gale Force yet. Maybe they'll give that to us, but for now, that is not the case. The next thing I'm going to show here, I wanted to show a Claude piece here, and so of course I show him just absolutely getting dominated, which is kind of funny. This is kind of a dual thing, looking at both hit and run and cav lines. Cav lines in general are getting harder because, I mean, you have Aleer. So, like, Aleer is just absolutely crazy against them, as well as Corrin. So you're having to go to some of these stronger nukes, which a lot of times aren't calves. And in this case, I went across this defense and had to go and build my own because I wanted to practice against it and see how it worked. And I've just got to say that Claude destroys things. He's absolutely amazing, but I have to do some gimmicks with this to make it work in the form of Hinoka. And once I do that, teams start, I start to be able to be exploited in different ways. And so because of that, these aren't just as good. But I mean, in general, yeah, cav lines are going down because tanks are getting stronger. I mean, that's that's all there is to it. In the same way, I mean, Omni tanks, I have Omni tanks going down because what I liked about the Omni tank meta that was here was that you could take any unit and make it an Omni tank. And we are moving away from that, and you're having to use, like, you have to use Legendary Self to really be consistent, or you have to use Aleer to really be consistent. So I don't have them going down big time. Like, you can still use a lot of these Omni tanks, and I've got a whole project where I'm using Sharena as an Omni tank. So understand it's very possible. I'm having some success there, but it's not a thing where I can just defeat every team with Sharena. So understand that, and that's something that I'm a little disappointed about, but I get that the meta has to move, so it's something that happens. Catria balls are doing really well. Catria balls are getting units like Claude. I have this one. This is a Dancer Trap that I have. I have this set up with Shamir. I'm probably going to swap out Claude because Claude's lethality spam is just nuts. I love Shamir. Shamir's fantastic, but I two lethalities in a single combat is just bonkers. Like, what do you do to tank that? And the answer is you tank that with Scowl or Lucia. And so, but that means, you see what I'm saying here, like, these Omni tanks are being shrunk down to size, and so everyone is going, you can't use cav lines anymore because the specific units that everyone's using are getting really good. Everyone's moving over to Catria balls, and that means it's really making the second tier Omni tanks go down further, and you can see how everything pans out. Yeah. I've got save balls holding constant. I probably should have had them going now, but I think Corrin is good. And it was enough to where I just kind of had them holding steady. But you can kind of see what's going on there, and I'm interested to see what comes next, because we're getting both stronger tanks and stronger nukes at the same time. Honestly, I think going to hit and run is probably a really good bet right now, just because of the things that they keep on giving us, especially with like Disarm Trap 4. So just keep that in mind as we're going. All right, we have Arena up next, and this is a really short clip. Eitri was so good when she came out, and even up to this last Fire tier list, I was talking to folks, and I was really wondering if it was time to move her down already. The consensus was it was not yet. I got through that, and I got a stern talking to from Oblivion. And listen, this unit has fallen way off. I love Eitri, and I use mine all the time, and she's great. I'm just saying that if you're building a core, Eitri's not it. Pick another unit. Next up, we are not having a slow descent, and Corrin is the highest scoring unit in the game right now and is really good. I don't like using armors in Arena at all. Like it is not fun for me, but man, it's tough to argue with this unit. You're gonna see me play Ring Around the Rosie here, where I just get absolutely stymied by this unit and have to kill off every support in order to get just enough on her to actually take her out. There have been a couple arena assault runs where I've had, like, I had to wait and have a melee unit that would sit on a defense tile, and then just have every time Divine Vein Stone would go off, then Corrin would attack in. The unit would do 2 damage. I would have to heal up the melee unit that got damaged, and it would just go on for 15 turns until I slowly wore her down. That's the type of unit we're talking about here. And it really is reminiscent to Arena back in 5 years ago. That's where we're at. So understand that. What I'm really saying here is bring a counter to this unit. This unit will be everywhere because she's the highest scoring unit, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with her. Again, I really like melee units against her, so understand that's a great way to go. But another counter is this unit we're just about to talk about, because Alir. Do I sound like a broken record? You guys have got to understand how much I love dragons, and so this whole thing, I am loving this. But that being said, it really is the case. Alir is phenomenal, and I love this particular replay because she gets down to so low HP every time. She almost dies 3 times and just barely squeaks through, which I think is amazing. Down to 1 HP there. That's the kind of unit you're dealing with, though. She has a lot of survivability, would probably rank very high on my unreleased auto battle tier list, so understand this is a fun unit, and in Arena, if you have her merged up, you are not going to regret it at all. Summoner Duels, everyone's favorite mode. What do I say about this? We'll go piece by piece here. I assembled way too many replays because this was a fascinating couple of seasons. And the first we have to talk about Soren. Again, I've got him going down because I thought expectations were so high for the whole savior thing. This is not about him as a nuke. As a nuke, he's phenomenal. You guys have seen how phenomenal he is as a nuke in a couple different situations. As a decoy itself, I'm not seeing it. The reason I thought it was so good in this particular SDS season was because you wanted to use Freyr, and being able, since you were forced into using him as a bonus unit, making him a savior kind of behooved you. It did its job. Here they are sacrificial lambs, and I mean that's what you need here to get Lucia. But Oblivion put this team together just masterfully. Got defense matching, so he did get 2 saves to protect his Lucia, and it was really, really a great setup. But that's really hard to do and will be dependent on how well your raid boss performs, and we've seen how that can kind of backfire on you. And in the end, again, the question is, would you rather have those saviors, or would you rather have supports to build up your raid boss? My answer is generally I'd rather have the supports. There are things that these units are doing to support as well, but you don't always get your choice that way. So understand that. Soren is very neat, and I think you can get him on teams, and I think he can do well, but I think his first job is an amazing nuke, and his second job is that he does the decoy gimmick. Moving on, though, to... Alright, I've had a lot of time to think about this. I got absolutely demolished last meta report by someone who rightfully told me that one of the problems with these is that I was too map dependent on what I considered good and bad. The thing is, Summoner Duels is the map. That is the meta. I completely understand what the person was saying. I'm not arguing with that. It is very difficult to separate the two. But I'm going to on this particular one because I really was kind of disappointed with Cavs for this. And the reason is, this is a Cav map. This is a map where Cavs were supposed to dominate and absolutely take over and be the brokest thing on the planet. But it was SDS and people just vetoed them. Anyone in their right mind, the minute they saw Brave Crom, they said, veto, done, on to the next. I'll take whatever you have left. I mean, what do you say to that? Like, does that really push the meta? Does that really make their value go up? I guess so, but I think in the overall grand scheme of things, Cavs are going to be good on 1 or 2 maps, and overall, they're just okay. I'm curious, maybe Dogger makes it to where you can make 2 Cav teams, but I just don't think they're reliable enough. And so I've just got them holding steady here. Amir, on the other hand, I feel like this is Amir's coming out party, and wowzers. I saw her in a number of different roles. My favorite, and I wish I would have gotten a better replay of this, but I actually had folks that were using her as a melee frontliner, because it was Might of Myriad season, against a lot of the Cav teams that you just saw, which is nuts, right? Obviously, she's not going to stop all the Cavs, but still, a very good unit. And again, we get to that whole thing where she survives, she hits really hard, and she has additional support with this miracle thing. Even if it's not the best miracle, that's a lot of different roles that one unit is playing. This is also the unit, like if you wanted to make this the Soren decoy unit, I could understand this. But yeah, I think this unit proved herself to be an excellent addition, and probably a unit, if you don't have her, because a lot of people don't, if you're an SDS nut, then you probably want to look at getting her when she comes back around. Next, Flared Sparrow. Okay, this is a replay I borrowed from BC in the Discord, and I love this team that they put together with Gulveg, who actually proved to be a pretty good unit. I've even seen her being used in SDR. The extra actions are kind of phenomenal. Flared Sparrow, though, I still believe is the true power, and I think it is something that is going to be around to stay. Now, you notice this isn't something that is just going through the roof. I think it is good. I don't think the gravity portion or the mobility inhibitors within Flared Sparrow are really what does it. It's the extra 7 damage that can continue to happen since it's on there. Because keep in mind, if that flame is down there and you attack in, and then another unit is sitting on there and someone attacks into it, they're still going to get that -7, which is phenomenal. And extra damage, like you want to eke out every little bit you can get. So that's phenomenal. If you're really looking at using Gulveg, know that the AoE build on her is probably the way to go in Summoner Duels, but still, I just absolutely love that unit and absolutely love Flared Sparrow. Just know that Flared Sparrow is good, but it might be more neat than good. Like, you understand what I'm saying there. So next up we have Robin, and so we talked about in Aether raids. I'm just not a huge fan. In Summoner Duels, this unit is ridiculous. I really enjoy this unit. I should have had him going up even higher. The issue there being, I really do think this is more of a raid boss thing, but I have seen him used in other ways. Rally Spectrum in this context is just phenomenal, and you're seeing him support a lot of units here and just going crazy. So what do you say about this unit? Like, absolutely incredible. This is a team from Fieri who I used this configuration with with Lucia, who gained value herself. I didn't mention her, but I really like her pairing with this Robin. And yeah, Summoner's fantastic unit. If you are a raid boss fanatic, then that is something you need to look at getting. Like, he really is fantastic. As far as the Summoner Duels landscape, we talked about Cav lines, and I'm showing another one up here, but I talk too much about them, really. I think they are still they're holding steady, like they haven't gotten worse. But the weird thing here is I've got the Catria balls going slightly down. The reasoning here The reason I'm starting to see that, especially in Summoner Duels S, not so much in Summoner Duels R, but in Summoner Duels S, we're starting to see units that are powerful enough that they don't need Catria. And I know Catria serves so many purposes, from adding warping of her own and ground orders, as well as having guidance 4 on there. She can be absolutely phenomenal. But if you don't need her, it opens up a slot and can help you with other things. We're having units like you saw Soren, who could have a brave hit without her and do great amounts of damage. We're seeing like Hinoka, who has the the counter disrupt, who can go in and most of the time does not need Catria to kill a lot of saviors. So just know that going in. I really, Catria balls are great. They're losing a little bit of value because of the value of nukes and the power that they're getting. The last thing is raid bosses, and raid bosses got so many toys. What do you do with that? There are so many ways to support them. One of the newest ones, if you've seen Habaluka's video on Gambit, Gambit Miracle Lucia, that's something you can use in almost every mode. Like, it's fantastic everywhere. This is a Gale Force Lucia, and again, this is Fury's configuration, which I really enjoyed. But raid bosses just keep winning, and Rally Spectrum is a great tool for them. And I mean, what do you say? Like, I saw some crazy Alir configurations, and we'll talk about one in just a second, but I think raid bosses have gotten a ton more tools. Know that despite this is relative value, I still think Catria balls are the most reliable and consistent configurations you can use. So understand that. The last thing we want to talk about is investments, and I've got a few different versions of this here. But the first thing is, feel free to invest in Hinoka, because good Lord, she keeps on getting value somehow, some way, which is nuts. This speed defense snag 4 is something that I saw running around, and I absolutely love it. It is really a good B skill on her, and I'm a big fan. I don't think Wings of Mercy 4 in most configurations is something you really want, but those snag 4 skills are better than you think they are. Flared Sparrow is another thing that she just absolutely loves. Give that to her. Don't look back. Gatekeeper, and this is an Aether Rays configuration, and I am a huge fan. Crossbow attack in particular. The whole thing with Gatekeeper, right, is that you have him across the map and he can still support. So being able to give crossbow attack from many spaces away is just phenomenal. I like attack defense ideal 4 because essentially what that sets up is that you can later on have a melee unit just like wallop into you and not do anything, and you can run around and go get pots. So that's for pot retrieval, but this is a unit that you want in your barracks. Like, this is a very good one. The last one is Alir, and I want to make very clear, like, this is not a configuration that you have to have. Understand that. This is a neat configuration that I've seen running around. What you're really waiting for is some kind of speed scowl, and I'm not sure if that's ever coming out, but what you're seeing here is with the guard and the scowl, most of the time you're going to be able to stop some crazy shenanigans from happening. Just know that, and in particular, this is able to defeat Claude and that crazy lethality spamming that I didn't get to talk nearly enough about because he's so new. But yeah, this is really fun for raid boss stuff, and especially in Might of Myriad season. Summoners, this was an absolutely crazy month. I hope you guys had fun with all of the stuff going on, and I hope you're enjoying playing with your Braves. What can I say? Thank you very much to the members. You guys are incredible. I've got a link up to actually the last conversation I had with PM1, which was so much fun, just on the meta over the last year and how it compares, how the power levels and the power creep compared to the former year. Go check that out if you haven't already, and take care and schedule an appointment with your Veil just real soon.